Something very interesting is happening in the Tampa Bay housing market right now. Mortgage rates have just dropped below 6% for the first time in more than 3 years. Now, normally when rates drop, buyers flood back into the market, right? And the prices start rising quickly again. But right now we're seeing something different. Inventory is climbing, price reductions are increasing, and the market is beginning to rebalance in a way we haven't seen in a while. What makes this moment even more interesting is that several forces are happening at the same time. Rates are falling, buyers are gaining a little more purchasing power, and at the same time, sellers are slowly returning back into the market after sitting on the sideline for the past few years.
And that combination is creating what many economists are calling a period of mature growth and healthy rebalancing. The Tampa market isn't crashing, but it also isn't behaving like the frenzy we saw a few years ago either. So in today's update, we're going to break down what exactly is happening in the Tampa housing market right now. We'll look at the latest numbers for single-family homes, condos, and townhomes, inventory levels, and the economic factors that are shaping where the market could be heading next. Hey everyone, I'm Shanika, and this is my husband Saul. We're VivaTampa, your inside look at what it's really like living right here in the Tampa Bay area.
Yep, and if Tampa Bay is on your radar, look no further because we're your local realtors helping people every single week. Y para todos mis latinos, también se habla español.
We got a lot to cover today, so let's jump right in. Let's start with the biggest headline affecting the housing market right now. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate has dropped to about 5.98%, falling below the 6% threshold for the first time in roughly 3.5 years. That may sound like a small shift, but psychologically, it's a very important moment for the housing market.
Now, for the past few years, we've been dealing with something economists call the lock-in effect. Now, millions of homeowners secured mortgage rates in the 3% range during the pandemic housing boom. Now, when rates jump higher, many homeowners simply choose not to sell because moving would mean giving up that extremely low mortgage rate. But as rates begin to drop again, the market begins to thaw. Lower rates increase buyer purchasing power, and in this case, a drop below 6% gives buyers roughly $36,000 in additional purchasing power compared to where rates were previously. Now let's look at the latest numbers for single-family homes in Tampa Bay. The median sale price is currently $455,000, which represents about 11% year-over-year growth. During this reporting period, there were 340 closed sales, which is slightly lower than it was the same time last year. Inventory for single-family homes sits at 4.8 months of supply or so, which is actually moving us closer to what economists consider a balanced market.
Another interesting metric is median days on market, which is now around 67 days, about 19 days longer than the same time last year. The sell to list price ratio sits at about 95.6%, meaning homes are still selling fairly close to their asking prices. And we're also seeing about 33.7% of listings undergoing price reductions, which shows sellers are beginning to adjust expectations as the market normalizes. When we analyze these numbers together, the single-family housing market in Tampa is best described as balanced to neutral. Demand is still strong, especially in desirable neighborhoods and move-in-ready homes, but buyers now have slightly more leverage than they did during the peak of the housing boom.
Homes that are priced correctly and marketed well are still attracting strong interest from buyers, though. That's always a good thing, right? But homes that are priced too aggressively may sit on the market longer and eventually require price adjustments. And this is where the Tampa market becomes particularly interesting. Because when we shift over to condos and townhomes, the story changes quite a bit. Let's look at the condo and townhome market. The median sale price in this segment is around $287,000, making it a more accessible entry point for many buyers compared to single-family homes. However, the supply numbers tell a very different story. Inventory levels are significantly higher in this segment of the market.
Because of that higher inventory, condos and townhomes are taking longer to sell compared to single-family homes. Buyers now have more options and more negotiating power in this segment of the market. And that leads us into what many analysts are now calling a clear buyer's market for condos in Tampa. Right now, the condo market in Tampa is experiencing what economists describe as an inventory glut. There is currently about 9.7 months of supply, which is well above the 6-month threshold that typically signals a buyer-leaning market.
Now, that higher inventory is being driven largely by what some analysts call vintage inventory. Now, these are older condo units that may need renovations, updates, or face rising HOA and insurance costs. Because of those factors, buyers have become much more selective. Now, another indicator we're watching closely is price sensitivity in the market. About 33.7% of active Tampa listings have undergone price reductions, which shows the sellers are adjusting to changing market conditions.
Now, this doesn't mean the market is collapsing. Instead, it shows a shift toward more realistic pricing and a more balanced negotiation environment between buyers and sellers. If you're watching this and thinking about relocating to Tampa or buying a home here, this is actually a very interesting moment in the market. Buyers now have more breathing room, more choices, and more opportunities to evaluate properties carefully.
And if you're thinking about making the move to Tampa, we've created complimentary relocation guides that walks you through neighborhoods, lifestyles, and what it's really like to live here. You can find that link in the description below. Now let's get back to the video. Beyond housing numbers, there are also broader economic forces shaping the Tampa market, right? You got lower interest rates are helping unlock housing activity. That's very important to remember. At the same time, Tampa continues to experience strong population growth.
People are still relocating here from states like New York, Illinois, and California. And that long-term population growth continues to support housing demand across the region. Now, the Tampa housing market is what economists call a bifurcated market. That means different segments of the market are behaving very differently. Single-family homes, especially move-in-ready homes in desirable areas, continue to see strong demand.
Meanwhile, condos and some older properties are experiencing much higher inventory levels and slower sales. Understanding these differences is crucial when making buying or selling decisions. Another important thing to remember is that Tampa isn't just one market. Different neighborhoods are performing very differently. Luxury areas like South Tampa continue to see strong demand due to limited inventory and desirable locations.
Meanwhile, some suburban and condo markets are experiencing more inventory and slower sales. So local expertise becomes extremely important when evaluating opportunities. Inventory across the Tampa metropolitan area has now surpassed 10,000 active units, which represents a meaningful increase compared to the tight supply we saw a few years ago.
New construction has also played a role in increasing inventory, particularly in areas like Waimama, Riverview, Parrish, and Wesley Chapel. Builders are continuing to add supply to the market as Tampa grows. Looking ahead, most forecasts are pointing towards stabilization rather than a dramatic rebound or crash. Zillow and other housing analysts expect the market to continue adjusting gradually.
That means we may see steady prices, moderate inventory growth, and a more balanced market moving forward. So for buyers, the biggest takeaway right now is breathing room. Inventory is increasing, homes are staying on the market longer, and buyers have more time to evaluate options.
For sellers, the biggest takeaway is strategy. But that kind of has been that has been the takeaway for a while now, right? Homes that are priced correctly, marketed well, and presented properly are still selling successfully. The Tampa housing market is recalibrating, right? And that creates both opportunities and challenges depending on your situation.
If you're thinking about buying, selling, or relocating to Tampa, we'd love to help guide you through the process.
You can call us, text us, or email us anytime.
And if you found this market update helpful, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Now we'll see you on the next one. And as always,
take care and stay blessed.